I'm Makini Smith. In 2009, while going through a divorce, I decided to jump straight into entrepreneurship. In 2012, I lost my sister and asked myself, what legacy do I want to leave behind? Since then, I've become a serial entrepreneur, helping other women publish their books, produce their podcasts, and reach their big goals to walk in their greatness. I realized the importance of sharing our stories of resilience and how it can be another's guide to walk in a manner worthy of their calling. We are blessed to be a blessing, so get ready to be blessed with an inspiring testimony. Hey, Faith Walkers. Thank you for joining us on the A Walk in My Stilettos podcast, where we have conversations with amazing women that are letting us step into their shoes. I help women to own their voice so they can create impact, prosperity, and legacy. I get inspired when I see another woman succeeding, but what interests me more is her backstory and her mindset on how she got there. So today's guest is about to bless us with her testimony, and since you're already here, you may as well subscribe. Today, we have Suzana Mihajlovic. She is an elite level performance coach and a Proctor Gallagher Institute Consultant. She is in Bob Proctor's inner circle, and she's an internationally best-selling author and the founder and director of Your Two Minds, the mindset and coaching company. Suzana has always held a passion for human potential and an understanding of how to overcome barriers and challenges to reach greater levels of success. So please welcome to the show, Suzana.
Hi there.
Hi, Suzana. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on and share your story with us.
Thank you, Makini. It is absolutely my honor. You know how much I absolutely respect and adore and love everything that you do. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so sweet. I have goosebumps already. You definitely hold a special place in my heart. I love and adore you as well. And for those of you who are listening, I'll give you a quick little backstory. So Suzana and I both actually met at one of Bob Proctor's trainings for his consultants. And it was years ago. And we were both, I'm going to say, newer consultants at the time. And we connected that week while we were all in training. And I have just loved watching Suzana's growth. From our first conversation to who you are today is a completely different woman. And I'm sure, you are so proud of yourself, but not only what you've been able to accomplish, but even in your confidence and who you are and how you speak, it's just beautiful to watch your growth. So I just wanted to just share that little tidbit.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It has certainly been a journey, hasn't it? And just a beautiful journey of spiritual unfolding. And I remember the first time meeting you, we were at a table and you started talking about your book, and immediately I was so attracted to your energy, to your soul, to your quiet confidence. It has been quite a journey.
Such a journey. And, we have listeners from all over the world. We found out a few months ago that this podcast is actually globally ranked in the top 2% of the most popular podcasts in the world out of over 2 million podcasts. And we have an audience. Thank you. We have an audience all over Canada, the US, Australia, the UK, the Caribbean. So for those of you who are listening, Suzana, you are in Australia right now. So we're dealing with a pretty big time difference.
That's right. So I'm in the future. It's Friday morning here.
And it's Thursday evening here. So yes, I love to start the show with an icebreaker question, because I believe that as women, we have all these different titles that we go by. And a title that I believe is not given enough significance is our names, because our names have meaning. And every time someone says your name, they're declaring that meaning to you. So I would love to know, Suzana, do you know what your name means?
I don't know what Suzana, it's a Hebrew name. It's in the Bible, but I was born of Serbian parents. I was born in Australia. My brother was born in Serbia. So he was 2 years old when he came to Australia. And in the Serbian culture and tradition, it's the godparents that actually name the child. So when my mother was about to give birth, or a few months before I was born, they sent a letter. So we didn't have the technology that we have today. So it would have been a few months before I was born. She sent a letter to the godparents back in their home country. They gave her a list of names that they liked, girls' names and some boys' names, because she didn't know whether, I was going to be a boy or a girl, and they chose Suzana.
I love it.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
I Googled it, and Google says that Suzana means lily.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
There
And I
go.
love lilies. That's interesting.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah. I love the beautiful oriental lilies. They're my favorite. So that's very, very interesting.
See, look at that. And I was just going to say, every time someone says your name, now you can think of lilies, but you already love them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of lilies. Yeah.
So I want to jump straight into your story, Suzana, because you have come from so far, and I'm sure that the women who are listening would love to know how you got to where you are today. Tell us your story.
Sure. So I'll be as short as I possibly can, but I'll start with childhood, I guess. And the reason why is because I think so many women may be able to relate to my story in their own way. So as far as my earliest memories, so being a child of a migrant family had its stresses, and it wasn't the easiest, circumstances to grow up in. So I've got the most beautiful family, the most loving parents in the world, but they were new to a foreign country. My beautiful mother had not even gone to the capital. She had only been to the capital city of Serbia, Belgrade, once. So they were rural farmers, and my uncle came out to Australia for a better life because of a number of reasons, and then brought my father and then my mother and grandparents to Melbourne, Australia. And growing up in a migrant family back in the day was quite tough. We had, parents did not understand the language. They were working very, very hard in factories. There was a lot of bullying going on because, we were different, although there were other migrant families in the area. And, there was quite a tension when you got home because of the stress of the work and trying to survive. And I had the most loving grandmother in the world. She was just way beyond her years. I have never seen this woman say a negative word. So it was really good to have that role model and that safety in a person, that you were allowed to be completely yourself. But I guess the difficulties, I remember as a child in primary school, I think it's elementary school for you guys in the Northern Hemisphere, where I vowed to never, ever be cruel to another person because I knew how that felt. I knew what it was like to be living it tough, even though I was so young. I knew what the stings of bullying, the difficulties that came across or that you experienced as a result of bullying. So I remember that day really well. And I guess it may have been something natural. It may have been, I believe it was spirit, because I believe as children, not that spirit is closer to us. We just don't have the paradigms and the walls that we have as adults. But I knew that my calling was to be a world leader in spirituality in some level. And I had this it was something that not many other people had, but everyone noticed it in me. Like I would attract babies, children, teenagers, adults, senior adults. I just had this something. And I believe that something was the natural ability to connect to a person's soul. I think we all have it, but maybe because of the experience of the hardships, maybe it was brought out a bit more. I'm not sure. And I was naturally able to understand where people's blocks were and who they truly were beyond what you saw on the physical. And I just somehow understood how help them get through those blocks. It was really, really
Wow.
interesting. And and it was always, people would refer to me as the special child, that the child that everyone is drawn to. You know, there was something about Suzana.
Wow.
So I knew and I had the dream. I knew one day that I would be, I guess, doing the work that I'm doing now. So, you know, long story short, I went to university, and I thank my father who, you know, he never had the opportunity for education. I was the first person in our family here in Australia, as well as in Serbia, to actually pursue tertiary studies and complete a university degree. And so ever since I was a child, he was like, you know, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a doctor. And I never wanted to be a doctor. But what that did for me, when you experience such difficulties as a child, and then you've got that one adult that has got this big dream for you, even though it's not the right dream for you, it makes you somehow know, but it's beyond a knowing. It's almost like a purpose that you have to fulfill something big. So I was always a really big dreamer. So because of my fascination, interest, this thing that I had, you know, inside me, I went and studied psychology, and then got a job. And all of my adult life, and psychology was absolutely fantastic, so fascinating, loved it. But when I got into a job, there were limits. I knew that we were infinite. I knew that there was a spiritual side of us. I knew that we were limitless. But in a job, you had to go by the rules and regulations. And, you know, and when, you know, our teams were working with people, it was like, well, you take small steps. But intrinsically, I knew that we were created for quantum leaps. So for over 20, 30 years, close to 30 years in my career, I was yearning to step out and do this purpose. But I was always afraid. I had a mortgage, and then I had another mortgage. So I felt like I was stuck in a job. And then 2017, intuition was just so strong. It was just, you either just quit this job. It was a senior job. It was a fantastic job with a great organisation. I had $500,000 in debt. I was with 2 mortgages, no job after that, and I just decided to leave. So January 31st, 2017 was my last day in full-time employment. And the first 6 months of that when I left, was very difficult, because all I knew was paycheck. You know, I'd never had been without a job. So I had to change some of my paradigms. And I think when you first met me in Makini, I was actually processing all of those paradigms and still in panic mode, because it's like, whoa, you know, what am I doing? But so I set on a journey of, you know, living my purpose, and here I am today.
Wow. I mean, look at that. You know, there's so many lessons within that, from the childhood that you had growing up with difficulty. And, you know, I think it's Zig Ziglar that has that quote: "It doesn't matter where you started, it only matters where you finish," because look at where you are now.
Yeah.
And then you look at you walking away from a career that you were in and making the decision that you were basically going to, you know, pivot and go in a different direction, and you weren't sure. And again, look at the results, look at how many blessings have come from that. You know, like there's so many lessons within that I hear. And even when you talked about, you know, working for an organization, even though it's a great organization, but their beliefs in taking small steps and their, you know, limits within how they function. And now look at you in terms of, you know, the work that you're doing, the impact that you're making. So it's just, I love being able to have this conversation, especially with someone who studies the same things that I study, because you get it. You understand we are a product of the product. You know, our lives have completely changed just from even studying this information. So even with your brand, calling it Your Two Minds, like what does that mean for you?
So that, and it's interesting how that name came about. I was thinking of a business name. It means something different to me now than what it did then,
Mm-hmm.
So, but we were looking for a business name, and I just couldn't find one that resonated. And I had one that I just did not like for a little period of time. And it was during that time, Makini, when I had just left work. I was waking up at 4:00 every single morning with sheer panic attack, like $500,000 in debt, never been in business, didn't have a job, did not want to go on government welfare support. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that energy was not right for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was waking up for quite a few months, 3-4 o'clock in the morning, every single morning, sheer panic, where there were mornings I remember I had to pray because I felt like I was going to die. Like I just felt like, whoa. And it was, so one day I just decided to go for a massage, and I was on the massage table, and finally I guess I had that 5-10 minutes of, where I just let go, and the name just came to me, Your Two Minds, out of spirit. It's never nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it meant the subconscious, conscious mind. And it does mean that now, but through my learnings, through my experience, it's more than that. It's your two minds. Are you, connecting to spirit, or are you connecting to your fear, the negative, positive, sides of your mind? So there's so much more to it than what it initially, when it came through me, it was this conscious and subconscious, but it means so much more now.
Wow. I love how there's so many different meanings, and how when you talked about the conscious and subconscious and living in fear versus spirit, like there's so many different
meanings, and
but there's so many different symbolisms that can even come from the term your two minds. That's what I love about it. That's what I love.
Absolutely. And ultimately, if I could just add to that, ultimately what I've learned and what I'm learning, because we're always evolving, is we're really just one. When you align yourself with the one spirit, with that one source, with God who is in you, who is flowing through you, that's the only mind that, you need to align yourself with. So, I had that spirit was calling me. It was a part of me as a child. I knew it. I felt so much closer to it as a child. But then as you become an adult, there's responsibility. I have a job. What would my boss say? How am I going to pay the mortgage? All of that stuff that splits your mind in two, right? Mm-hmm. So it took, even though I knew it was my destiny and my purpose to be doing what I'm doing now, I knew that as a child. But because of the expectations, my own paradigms, societal paradigms, like you're mad to be leaving a senior management job when you're $500,000 in debt and not knowing what you're doing, all of that stuff really added to the confusion and the anxiety. And, of course, I was in two minds, right? Mm-hmm. So now I am more and more understanding and knowing there's really one mind that you need to be connected to and listening to, and the gift of intuition is a part of that mind.
Yes, I love it. And then, look at how you've transformed from where you were to where you are today. Like currently being in Bob Proctor's inner circle, you're in the top 1% within the company. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Like, yes. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So I know what that means, but I want you to explain to the listeners what that means.
I guess the easiest way to explain it is there are certain, levels of success when you become a consultant, depending on how many people you have helped through your work. And I'm what Proctor Gallagher Institute calls a pin holder. So to put it simply, I think there's close to 5,000 consultants, if I'm not wrong, 4,000 to 5,000 and growing.
Yep.
And last year I was in the top 10 of those. I'm now probably 13 or 14 out of the consultants in terms of how big or how many people I've helped doing the work that I'm doing.
Congratulations. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing.
You.
So
thank you.
Tell us, what inspires you the most about what you do?
Oh, spirit. My purpose. that child that was, that was yearning to do this, that knew that this was her, and I consult with her from time to time, would you believe, that knew that it was God working through her. I think, Makini, we are now at a really pivotal point in society, and we're at a point where we can't deny it. We absolutely cannot deny today that the world is going to go into a direction. And if we don't wake up, it's probably not going to be in a great direction. So if the whole world has experienced, everything that we have in the past year, and we've heard spiritual teachers talk about this. I've been on this spiritual journey for a long time, past 15 years. I've heard Eckhart Tolle say, look, we're soon going to get it to a point where we're either going to awaken or we are going to destroy ourselves. The world's not going to be a great place. And it's come to a point where nobody alive today can deny that. We've experienced it. So, and it's really interesting. I'm getting chills right now just thinking of my journey and how long it has taken me to actually let go and follow my spirit and follow my purpose. Yet it's come at the right time. My success in what I'm doing has come at the perfect time, because that child was called to actually wake people up during one of the most difficult times that we may be experiencing. So what drives me? I want every single person to know that they are so much more than what they have ever thought they were. I want every single person that I come in touch with to know that they are, way more than what those kids that were bullying them at school, or being a migrant child, or the limits that they've told themselves, the lies that they've held on to. I want them to wake up. I want every single person to wake up to spirit, to their soul. For them, it might be something completely different to my purpose, but every single one of us is alive today because we have greatness inside us. We are all alive at this time because we've chosen to be, because we need to wake up. We need to wake up, and we need to align to our heart, to our spirit, to the thing that we are meant to be in this life, so that we can lift the vibration, so that we can move the trajectory for future generations to actually also have a spiritual awakening. And I also believe the spiritual teachers today have only touched the surface of who we truly are. We've only scratched the surface. I believe that it's going to take, not everyone's going to jump on this journey. And I'm not preaching, I'm just really wanting and inviting people to wake up and to open up to their own spirit and to move beyond the limitations that they thought they had in the past, and to start to get into their own, connect to their own intuition, raise their vibration, know that they're being guided and looked after, because that's what's going to change our world for the better, and that's what's going to leave future generations in a much better state than what we have ever been in. So that's what really drives me. Yeah.
I love it. Do you feel that your adversities that you have been through, and the rough journey that you started with, is what has helped you in your understanding today in order to work with others?
Absolutely. I think so. I now have a natural ability to just really see when you're talking to someone, when you're coaching, whether it's group coaching or one-on-one, you can almost read what they're experiencing without the other person saying it. So yes, I believe so. I would not change, as hard as it has been, and even to this day, there are occasions, not as often as what they would be, but there are occasions where, my past tries to come back and haunt me, because there was some really severe experiences there, very, very traumatic. But having said that, that's my past, and I would never, ever, it is what it is, and and it has happened for a reason or maybe not a reason. But, I would never change it because it's my life. It's my beautiful family. I would never change them for anyone. And I guess in some ways it's my gift. It's a weird way of, referring to a gift, but it's what has made me. So, yeah. So, yes, yeah. I do believe that in some ways it has helped me.
Yeah, I feel like there's a common theme amongst all of the resilient women that I've been able to have these conversations with. And I continuously say our pain birthed our purpose. And
yeah.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel that in just speaking to all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that little child, I can't even remember how old I was. I was probably 8 or 9. I remember I was in my front yard and playing alone. It was quite a lonely childhood from at some times. And I remember the point where I declared to myself, I will never bully another person. And not that I was perfect. I've made my mistakes too. We all have. I'm sure I've hurt people, but the intention, because I knew how that felt. So I think my purpose had really opened up when I made that promise to myself as a child.
What advice would you give to a woman that's listening right now that is like unsure of even how to find their purpose? I have a lot of women ask me this, and I have my own answers for them, but what advice would you give to a woman who doesn't know how to find her purpose or doesn't think she's found it yet?
Often when we think we can't find our purpose, it's because we are so consumed with the worry, the fear, the viruses in our mind that say that somehow we are not enough, not intelligent enough, we're not beautiful enough. For some reason, and it's fascinating, and I believe it's because of the, historical trauma that society has passed on from generation to generation. But for some weird reason, I think every single person out there looks at another person and thinks, oh, I'm not like them. They're different. They're confident. They've got something that I don't have. So I believe that's where the uncertainty comes from. So I would actually suggest just let go of that, just let go of it and connect to spirit. And your spirit has been guiding you all your life. That's why you're alive today. That's why you've made it. No matter what you've been through, even if it's the most difficult experience, you are here now. You are here now. So you have to start to trust that something inside you, your higher intelligence, your higher self has helped you survive. So in the letting go of what we think we're not and all the paradigms and all the things that we've put in our minds, the viruses, letting go of that and just allowing yourself to connect to yourself, even if it's slowly, 5 minutes a day, if that's all you can do, you're going to start to open up to something absolutely so beautiful that has been waiting for you to be ready, that it's been waiting for you in this moment to connect to it. You've got such extraordinary beauty, extraordinary talent, extraordinary genius that, you're going to start to be in awe of yourself once you allow yourself to connect to yourself, to that part of you. So, just try to relax, let go of the self-talk and your beliefs and try to connect. And your purpose is there. It will come. It will come when it's ready. But even living your everyday aligned with your spirit, that's living on purpose. Purpose doesn't have to mean that you're going to end up being a billionaire with a massive global company. Purpose can be that you just bring joy to your day today. Purpose can mean being a calmer woman that loves herself, that is a great mother, that is a great friend. Everybody's purpose is different. And in you just being aligned with your heart, with your spirit, with your soul, just by you being you are making a huge difference. You are making a difference to yourself first and foremost, and that's a vibration, and you are just as important as everybody else. You're actually the most important person in your life, right? You're a gift. You are the gift. You are the gift to life. You are the gift. And, you just, by aligning yourself with you, then you're going to start to change your family, not even trying to change them, your neighbor, the person that you meet down the street. So that's how we create change. That's how we connect to our purpose. And it doesn't have to be, something, my purpose is mine, yours is yours, and there's no big or small. There's no big or small, because everybody's purpose, every single woman that aligns with herself, her spirit, and lives from that space is contributing to the higher betterment or evolvement of the world.
Amen. Absolutely. I totally agree. I want you to tell us, what is one thing that most people don't know about Suzana?
I guess now people look at me and I love what I do, and I'm aligned. So when you're aligned, you do an incredible job. Not that I can't improve. Well, I'm always improving. So people have a perception of that, and which is great. That is a part of me. But I guess, I'm like everybody else, and I have days too where I'm not aligned. Mm-hmm. Where, I can feel a little bit insecure, past the trauma creeps up. Now, those days don't consume me over a week or months or years as they used to, but I do have that too, and I also have to connect every day to make sure that I'm opening up to spirit and my alignment too. So I think it would be that.
Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for the transparency in that. We actually released a podcast episode. By the time this airs, it'll be a couple weeks. But today we released a podcast episode with a psychotherapist. And she was talking about, even in her profession as someone in the mental health care field, that she still struggles with imposter syndrome, that she's a human being, that she still goes through those things. So it's important for the women that are listening to hear the successful women like yourselves that they look up to, that they see as a source of inspiration, to hear the real parts of you, your truths about still experiencing those things. So then they don't feel alone. They realize that it's human. We're all human.
Absolutely. And they're no different. They're no different to us. We're all the same, So when you have the level of trauma that I had, occasionally something might trigger it where the anxiety starts to come up too, and it's not a great feeling. I guess, the difference now is that I have a bit more discipline to help myself when those periods come up. But I have those too. I still get anxiety from time to time and my own insecurities. So
thank you for sharing that. I want you to tell people where they can stay connected with you online before we go to the final segment.
Absolutely. So you can, have a look at my website, your2minds.com. I do have a Facebook group too. So it's the Millionaire Roundtable, where I share some insights and weekly information. So they'd probably be the best two at the moment. So your2minds.com and the Millionaire Roundtable Facebook group.
All right. Perfect. I will definitely have the links in the details section of the episode so they can click and connect with you directly. They don't have to search too far.
Great.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And for the final segment of the show, I call it a walk in her wisdom. And it's just a couple reflection questions, and you share the first thing that comes to mind, kind of like a rapid fire.
Sure.
All right. Name a book that has changed or greatly impacted your life.
A Return to Love, Marianne Williamson.
If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say and why?
I love that question, that one. So it would say either one of two things. You, capital letters, you are a gift to life, and life is a gift to you. And the other one would be in complete awe of you.
Okay. Name one of the most worthwhile investments that you've ever made. And that could be money, time, energy.
Oh, the most worthwhile investment I've ever made, and I've made a lot of investing in it, is my personal growth. Hands down, by far, my personal growth and the investment that I'm constantly making in my business, because it requires both. It requires the personal growth and the investment. So they are hands down my best investments ever.
Love it. And I totally agree. I say every day being an entrepreneur is a personal development journey. Yeah.
It absolutely is, isn't it? You never quite get there, right? It's like
exactly. We're learning every day.
How do I need to grow? That's right.
Exactly. Okay. What have you become better at saying no to in the last 5 years?
Oh, yeah. So that's, what have I become? That's an interesting one for me, because I am learning to say no. I'm still learning to say no. I'm getting better at it. I think saying no and closing the book to people that don't have a mutual, benefit for both. So people that actually, are not aligned with your good. Yes, I'm learning to say no, and I'm getting a lot better at, letting go of people that don't serve me or my business.
Okay.
And that was a hard one for me to learn.
What new belief, behavior, or habit has improved your life in the last 5 years?
Oh, God, I love that question. So put spirit first. Spirit knows. So the belief that I am the same intelligence, the exact same intelligence that has created the stars and the planets and the galaxies and the universes out there that we cannot see with the human eye with the best technology. The universe is infinite. It goes forever and ever and ever. And everything that it has created has been ease and flow. I mean, there's a big bang and everything, but it's been ease and flow. And that energy, that same intelligence is the same intelligence that is within me. In fact, science is now showing that I am more that intelligence than what I am physical. I'm actually less than 1% physical. And the biggest breakthrough for me was living from that space and disciplining myself. I'm not quite there yet with this one, but I'm getting better and better to focus on source energy, on that intelligence, rather than on my 5 senses. So we're so asleep. We are so asleep. We are so conditioned to focus 100% of our energy with the 5 senses, yet the 5 senses is less than 1% of what is actually going on.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
And when I really started to understand that, not with my head, I thought I understood it for years, but with my spirit inside me, and I started to live from that space, that's where the magic started to happen. That's when the ease and flow started to happen. And it's from that space that we find purpose, we have the awe in life, and we attract the beautiful people that we're meant to serve.
Amen. I love it. Last but not least, what do you wish women would do more of?
Oh, let go of the bullshit.
I love it.
And this is a woman that's in her 40s that still holds on to some of the bullshit from time to time, but it's taken her over 40 years. Just let go and connect to your beauty. There's nothing that is, we're so conditioned as women to think we're not beautiful enough, we're not this, we're not that, we're not, we don't have the right skin color, we don't have the right background, we don't have whatever it is, let it go. That is all crap. We are wasting time. Yeah. We're wasting precious time holding on to that. Where you have more beauty, more power, more intelligence, more complete allness. I don't know how else to describe it inside you than what you can ever imagine, but it takes the letting go of the crap, letting go of all those ideas in your mind that tells you that you're somehow not enough. And media and marketing knows how our minds work.
Exactly.
So,
they focus on the lack.
Yes, that's right. And we've got a generational focus on violence and things not working. So that's in our psyche. But it doesn't mean we can't let go of that. It doesn't mean we can't let go of that. Connect to your beautiful inner spirit. You have got it all inside you. Everything is inside you. You cannot not be good enough. Just by being you shows that you are way beyond good enough. And you know what? When you open up and when you connect to that part of yourself, then you know that the universe is helping you, because things start to happen. Things start to align themselves. You know, not that you don't have challenges, but you start to wake up and you start to know the truth of who you are. And you start to get ideas and the right people start to come in.
Absolutely.
And I believe, Makini, that, you know, this is not something that we can procrastinate on. You know, we are at a crux right now, and every single one of us, every single woman that is listening to this interview is being called right now. That's why you've heard this interview. Okay, there's no coincidences. Trust me, there are no coincidences to actually open up and connect to that power, because that power within you is going to heal the world.
Amen. And on that note, Suzana, I want to thank you so much for taking the time, for joining us, and for blessing us on this podcast today. I truly appreciate you. You are on the other side of the world, but I love you dearly, and I cannot wait till we're allowed to fly and I can give you a hug again.
I can't wait. You must come to Australia, okay? And I will spoil you. And I just, And thank you so much, Makini. You know how much I absolutely adore and admire you. And it is my honor to be here with you and your beautiful followers. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And just blessings to everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And to all of you faith walkers out there, until next time, make sure that you subscribe on all platforms. Don't forget to rate the show and leave us a review on Apple Podcast. Join the community of faith walkers, and you can sign up for our weekly newsletter at awalkinmystilettos.com, and be sure to grab one of my personal development books available online everywhere. And if you can think of, I'm going to challenge you to 3 women today that would receive value from hearing Suzana's testimony, please share it with them. Feel free to screenshot this week's episode, and you can tag us on Instagram. You can tag myself at The Real Makini Smith, and you can tag at Suzana _. I'm going to spell it so I don't get it wrong. MIHAJLOVIC. And continue to walk. There we go. And continue to walk in greatness in your stilettos in a manner worthy of your calling.